this is Positive Tiger Gamer coming back at you with a very special video. First off, I want to start before we start into the video. Happy Easter to all of you all who celebrate Easter. Hopefully you all having a good Easter. If you don't celebrate Easter, well, hopefully you are having a good positive Sunday evening on this March 30th as we come to the 31st. Sorry, I mistaken it for Saturday. Anywho, but that's a fun for another day. But as we end the month of March, we just figured why not on Easter, we'll just do a quick little video. So basically, this is going to be a Q&A for a good friend of mine, but for anybody else who's interested, basically, let's talk about a podcast, how to do a podcast, and what the whole idea is behind a podcast. So basically, to start off really, in terms of a podcast, basically a podcast, for all of you who may not know, it's basically like a pre-recorded radio show. So if you ever listen to the radio and you're listening to the different radio stations that are out there are plenty of them out there for different genres of music and that. You basically, it's like that pretty much, just pre-recorded, like my podcast at Public Safety Future Responders. That's a pre-recorded podcast show where I do it with a co-host and everything, and we just have a general conversation. It's basically a conversational show, just pre-recorded and put out there because why not? Because for those of us who are feared of being on the air, live on air, it's a good way to kind of help ease that out a lot. So that's my reason behind running a podcast and all that. But really, for all of you who are interested in podcasting, it's really good. It's a great way to kind of have your own little, kind of like your own little show, pre-recorded with some friends, some family members. Different podcasts do different things. There's many different topics. There's safety podcasts, safety videos that are podcasts. And horror ones. There's movie podcasts for those who want to listen to movie reviews and kind of get a little bit inside depth. So there are those kinds of podcasts as well. So basically, a podcast is anything you can want to think of. It's just basically a general conversation, whether you want to have it with yourself or have it with co-hosts. It's good to have it with co-hosts because that way you actually have somebody that you can talk to and interact with. I know a good friend of mine that's probably listening to this. Their names is Shiller, who's probably listening to this when it comes out. Was talking to me about running a podcast. We did a practice run. Fortunately, we had a little bit of minor issue, but that was a technical issue. But we hopefully got that straightened out, and we're going to be ready for that. But anywho, that's a conversation for another time. But again, folks, in terms of podcasting, it's basically a pre-recorded radio show. You can have you can do a theme for it, or you can just have general conversations. I know for me, I'm in my third season of my podcast at Public Safety Future Responders, which you can find on its own YouTube channel. Link in the description for that channel. And pretty much, hopefully, this is more like an informative kind of type video for anybody who's interested and want to kind of get a little bit of a look-see into a podcast, hear what my thoughts are on a podcast and all that. And maybe you all might want to get yourself into doing a bit of podcast. I know a few people would want to do that, and hopefully this will help you feel a little bit more comfortable with understanding what a podcast is. So it's just my thoughts, but there are plenty of good resources out there in terms of it. Like Spotify has good podcasts. You just got to find them and that. Along with different articles. There are a lot of good articles out there about setting up your own podcast, what you need to do for a podcast. You can go by a model or you can make your own. Like for me, when I was making my podcast, I basically just kind of was like I did a little bit of research and went, okay, what kind of audience am I looking for? Well, I'm looking to the future generation. Okay, there I go. There's my audience. And I want to talk about some safety stuff. And voila, and there we go. Plus also being a member of first responders, so that kind of put it in there. So there's what I did. Best bet is in terms of podcasts, do a bit of research. If you have an idea, good for you. If you need an idea, do a bit of research. Kind of do a little bit of digging. See what's out there. There are probably different. Like I said, there are different podcasts. There's safety ones. There's movies. There's probably cooking ones probably out there for those who want to learn to do a podcast even further, feel free. My podcast is available on YouTube. You can go listen to it. You can hear myself with my co-hosts and some special guests. I know I've done different topics. So and that. So if you feel a little bit more comfortable with hearing some examples, go listen to my podcast. I'm happy to help you out with that and all that. And by the way, coming soon, there is a possibility I'll have my own little personal podcast besides the public podcast, but my own little personal podcast for my channel at Positive Tiger Gamer in the near future. So we'll see where we go. So, folks, hopefully y'all are having a good Easter. Hopefully you found this very informative. This is basically a basic, thoughtful video. Just sharing my thoughts on the podcast. Hopefully help you all out if you're still thinking of a podcast. And doubt, if you have questions, do your research. Feel free to let me know. I will happy to help you out with it as well, based on some knowledge I know. I'll be happy to help you in the comments. So if you got a question, let me know in the comments. If you listen to a podcast, feel free to let me know. If I get a lot of podcasts shows, I will put a list together and I'll post it. Maybe some other people might find it interesting. Okay? So, folks, hopefully you all having a good Easter on this Sunday, March 31st. Stick around for my episode 6 of my Public Safety Future Responders podcast that will be out this Friday in April as well. So, folks, there you go. Also, too, one quick little tidbit. With my episode 6, I am going to be doing a very special segment because we're going into baseball season. So there'll be a little bit of talks on baseball in the 6th episode. So if anybody here who's listening to this video likes listening to my podcast, just want to give you all a heads up. There's a special segment that's going to be in there starting with our 6th episode. So, folks, y'all have a good Sunday night, and I will catch you all on another positive video. Folks, have a good night, and we will catch you all on another positive video, folks. Have a good one, and I will see you all soon.